Stronger is directed by David Gordon Green and is a biographical drama based on the true story of Jeff Bauman, who was a survivor of the horrific Boston Marathon bombings, and the film basically chronicles his story and his journey to kind of rising back up after surviving this horrific ordeal and the trials and tribulations of his character as he struggles to kind of really fight back. Going into this film, I expect it to be good because it's a Jake Gyllenhaal film, and the main reason I went to see it is because of Jake Gyllenhaal. He's one of my favourite actors working today. I think he can do no wrong. I still think it's a crime that he didn't at least get nominated or even win for his performance in Nightcrawler. I think he was absolutely amazing in that film. And this movie, I don't think he's going to get nominated for this, but again, he was really great. It was not as big and flashy and over the top as, say, Nightcrawler. It's not like a one-man show kind of like, oh, this is the Jake Gyllenhaal show, as much as, say, Nightcrawler was. But he still was really great in this film. I think he did a really great job of bringing this guy to life. It felt very real and felt very raw and powerful. It didn't feel like I was watching actors. And one of the biggest praise I can give this film is that of all the performances, whether it was Jake Gyllenhaal, whether it was Tatiana Maslany, who was playing the love interest, Miranda Richardson, who was playing his mother, like all the performances all around felt very real. And even though these are very recognisable faces, and you watching the movie you recognise these are famous actors, it was so well done, it was so well acted, it was so well filmed. It felt very real. It felt almost like a documentary drama at certain points. It didn't feel like I was watching actors performing for the camera. It felt at times like a documentary, kind of filming the real life people. It felt that real. It felt that raw and that powerful and that emotional. It was a real testament to the actors and that they really sold it. It didn't feel like I was watching people pretending to be different characters. It felt like I was watching the real people. That's how good they were. And also, although I don't think I put this in my top 5 favourite films I saw at the London Film Festival, one of the best things about this film is that it was so incredibly powerful and emotional. And I kind of expected that going in, but this film really hit me. Now, not to the point where I was like tearing up throughout the whole film, but there's some particular moments toward the end of the movie anyway where, oh my god, it really hits you. And the film is essentially building up to this one meeting that Jeff Bauman had with this guy toward the end of the movie, and that moment in particular and that conversation that they had, that Jeff had with that other guy. I won't spoil what it involves, but that moment really hit me, and I was in tears to the point where, when I came back from London, I was talking to my mum about the film and about that moment in particular. I got really carried away with, talking about the movie to her, and I was talking about that moment in particular, and I was almost kind of like breaking down in tears, just describing the scene. I was like, that's when you know how incredibly powerful and emotional a film was. Even just describing it in hindsight, looking back on the film and talking about it, it was making me emotional. I wasn't even watching it. So I really have to give the film massive props for being so incredibly raw and powerful and emotional. Because I've never gone for anything as horrific as that. Like, I can't really identify with how horrible that must be, but at the same time it's so incredibly kind of human and deep and powerful and emotional. And that moment that he has with that guy talking to him at the end, oh my god, it really hit me. And although I can't necessarily identify with what he went through, I can kind of identify with him as a character, because he was a little bit like me. He's a little bit of this kind of like layabout. He's kind of like, he wants to do stuff, but at the same time he's kind of like he doesn't do it, and he's just kind of lazing around, and he's not really going out and doing stuff. And it's a horrible thing when you think about it, because he's this guy who never goes out and does anything, and then the one time he does, he gets blown up. I can't even begin to think of how horrific that must have been. But what I really liked about this film is that it was a really great arc for his character and the journey that his character goes on, because it's not, we've seen a lot of films like this where it's like these uplifting biographical kind of sports dramas. This is kind of different because he's not necessarily like a really great amazing guy. At the beginning he's like, he's not really got a great kind of relationship with his girlfriend. He finally turns out, obviously he gets his legs blown off. It's an unconventional kind of journey that his character goes on. It's not like, oh my god, yes, I'm going to rise up and be the best straight away. Like, it's a very tough, grueling ordeal that his character goes on. It's not like one of these conventional, inspirational, biographical, true story films where he rises up and he's like absolutely amazing. No, it's much more real, this film. It feels very real. He goes through a lot throughout this film. It's not just like horrific ordeal that he suffers at the beginning, but it's the entire journey that his character goes through in this movie. It's not an easy one at all. It's a very grueling, very tough, very hard journey for his character. And I like the fact that the movie didn't sugarcoat it. It didn't make it like some, woohoo, some amazing, inspirational, true story, woo, look how amazing this guy is. No, it showed how real and human he is. It didn't gloss over or sugarcoat anything. There's so many moments throughout this film where people are coming up to him and he's like, whoa, you're a hero, woo. He's like, I don't feel very heroic. Yeah, you didn't let the terrorists win, you're fighting and rising back up. And he's like, well, I didn't feel like I won, you know, I got my legs blown off. So I love the fact that the movie addresses that. It doesn't just make him an instant, like, an amazing, inspirational hero type. It shows that he's just a regular guy and he gets thrust into the spotlight because of what happened to him. And he can really relate to him because of that, because he's just this regular guy who gets thrust into the spotlight and becomes like a celebrity because he survived this horrific ordeal. And he didn't do anything. He just got blown up, and yet because of that, because he survived, and because he's fighting to try and reclaim his life, he's got all this, you know, fame and stardom that's thrust upon him. And the movie shows how tough that would be for just some regular guy who didn't ask for any kind of fame or celebrity. He just got blown up, and then he's trying to get his life back, and he's got so much attention in now, and the film really highlights how hard that must be for just some regular guy. He didn't really do anything, and now suddenly all this attention's on him, and how he's like really struggling in his own private life with his girlfriend. They're having conflicts and he's really struggling to kind of rise back up. It's not an easy journey for him at all, and I really loved how the film really kind of explored that and showed that, you know, it's not easy when something as horrific as that happens to someone. It's not easy for them to just get back their life back straight away. But also it looked at how he as a character and in his mindset, he had to change. And there's a moment when he's at the gym and there's these other people that are, you know, rising back up and they're learning to walk again already, and he's not. He's way behind. And they're like, you know, if you're going to do this, you've got to be determined. You've got to want to do it. You've got to come here. You want to rise back up and fight back. You've got to have that determination and that spirit in you. You've got to come in. You've got to put your all into it. And so I really loved the arc and the transformation his character went on, where it wasn't just about him reclaiming his life and getting to walk again. It was also about him learning that he needed to put more effort and more focus and determination into his life and become more motivated and really kind of put his all into it. No one's going to make your life better for you. You've got to do that for yourself. And I think that was really kind of powerful kind of message put across in this movie, is that he wasn't just some amazing great guy, you know, he was a real kind of flawed, conflicted human being. And the movie showed that through the relationships that he had with his girlfriend. Tatiana Maslany was amazing in the movie as well as his girlfriend, and all the performances, you know, very much highlighted how these people are just kind of real, conflicted, ordinary human beings going through this horrific ordeal that you couldn't even imagine. And I really enjoyed this movie. The only criticism I could say, you know, as much as I really loved the movie and I really connected with it, and it really resonated with me, I feel like it did drag at times. The story did drag. It did feel like it was kind of like being dragged out. Maybe it could have been shortened up and tightened up a bit. But other than that, I think this was a very powerful, very emotional film that really hit me, and I think really worked. And I definitely recommend seeing it if you haven't seen it already. It's a very kind of inspirational film, very powerful, very emotional, and it really touched an over with me and it really hit me. So overall, I'm going to give Stronger 4 stars. And there we have it. That wraps my review of Stronger. Have you seen the movie, and if so, what do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you like this and you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe to see more. And if you missed my last review, be sure to go and click over here to catch up on my last review, or perhaps down here to catch up on another of my recent videos. But with that said, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.